Alright, match number 5 with Izzet Blitz. We get to be on the play. We have lands and spells, but we have no red mana. We have Gitaxian Probes. I think I'm going to keep this hand. So, one of the weird decisions you have to make with this deck is whether you want a Gitaxian Probe for life on turn 1 when you don't have Delver of Secrets in hand. Because you could potentially draw Delver of Secrets, and then you'd feel like a real idiot for not paying 2 life. However, you only have 4 Delvers in the deck, so you have a very low chance of drawing a Delver. And you also want to be able to save these for your Izzet Blitzes, or for your Kiln Fiends rather. So I think I'm going to pass. If I draw Delver of Secrets exactly, I'm pretty sad, but if I'm going up against an aggressive deck, I'll be glad I didn't pay the 2 life. And if I draw a Mountain, I'll be very glad that I saved both of these. Shadow Guildmage. Okay, I've never seen this card before. Let's see what it does. 1 mana, 1/1. Blue, put target creature you control on top of its owner's library, so you can re-trigger end of the battlefield effects or save it from removal. Red, tap, deals 1 damage to target creature or player and 1 damage to you. Alright, so some sort of Grixis control list, or... Oh, you know what? I think I saw something about this on the subreddit recently. I think it's some sort of Grixis evoke list. I heard something about it. So you could evoke a creature, and then you could use this blue ability to put the creature back on top of your library. And then just keep on triggering evoke abilities as long as you want. So, like, they probably have Muldrifter for sure. I'm not sure what good black or red evoke creatures there are. I guess we can find out what they're up to by Gitaxian probing them. I'm going to start digging for an island now. Or a mountain, rather. Okay, so this is actually pretty cool. They have a Child of Night, which is a 2/1 lifelink, right? Yep. So they have Child of Night, Chittering Rats, Terminate. So obviously they're quite pinched on mana right now. They already had a mulligan once down to 6. Or rather, they had a mulligan out of 5 and they were on the draw and they drew to 6. So if they just don't draw lands, we're doing great. But if they do just draw a mountain, that means that our Kiln Fiend, our first one, is going to die anyways. Look at their hand again. Delver of Secrets. Well, that's really awkward versus the Shadow Guildmage, but I'm going to play it out anyway because I have a Mutagenic Growth to save it, and our opponent doesn't necessarily have red mana next turn. So we might be able to flip this Delver before they get to ping it away. Oh, okay. So I just remembered, or realized, another trick that you can do is you can lock someone out of the game if you have a Chittering Rats with this blue ability. So if I have 1 card in hand, and it's uncastable for some reason, say it's too expensive based on my hand, or it doesn't have any targets or whatever, or I don't have the right colors of mana for it, then they can Chittering Rats they can put their Chittering Rats back on top, replay their Chittering Rats. And as long as they're winning on board, they can stop me from ever having a real draw step again. I just have to keep on redrawing that dead card. It's kind of hard to set up because you need your opponent to have only uncastable cards in hand, but alright, Lightning Bolt, I'm going to reveal it. So I get to flip my Insectile Aberration, but I have no red mana. So if our opponent just starts drawing lands, they could be the one who's shutting us out of the game. Because if we just keep on getting Chittering Rats and we can never draw red mana, we're going to be in trouble. But our opponent keeps on missing land drops, so that's good for us. We drew Apostle's Blessing, so we can protect this 3/2 from the Terminate. So we might just go all the way with a 3/2 flyer. That doesn't happen very often in this deck, but it certainly can happen. Alright, so I think I'm going to Shadow Rift our opponent's creature right now. Just to draw a card. If they had either blue or red mana available, they could use either of those to fizzle my ability. I don't want another Apostle's Blessing, I don't believe. Although, actually, against the hand of Terminate? No, I still don't. I just want the mountain. So I'll take the mountain. I'll attack. And then the question is, do I play out the Kiln Fiend? So the worst thing my opponent could do is untap, play a red source, and terminate one of my creatures. But that's fine, I guess. I really want to be able to get this Kiln Fiend down and just put this game away. If our opponent doesn't draw a land again, the game is basically over. Okay, they're forced to pass yet again. Let's see what they discard a hand size. This looks like an interesting list. Unfortunately, they're getting mana screwed. Ravenous Rats. That's a cool another thing that they can put back on top with the Shadow Guildmage. So we're restricted by our red mana right now, so we'll start off with a Ponder, see if we can find another mountain. Alright, Impulse, Gitaxian Probe, Island. Yeah, I'll take these cards. I mainly want this Gitaxian Probe because I want to see what our opponent is doing and know more of the cards in their deck before we start sideboarding. Alright, they also have Chainer's Edict, Firebolt, and Okiba Gang Shinobi, which is a creature with ninjutsu that makes a player discard 2 cards. So they're heavy on discard between the Ravenous Rats, the Chittering Rats, and the Shinobi. And they also are heavy on removal between Chainer's Edict, Firebolt, Terminate. Alright, well, good to know. They can't do anything about us winning this turn, though, so we're going to go ahead and bolt this blocker out of the way and attack for 13. And we will attack. So it took us a while to get there since we couldn't find red, but our opponent didn't draw land like 5 turns in a row, so that was good enough. So how do we want to sideboard against this deck? With Izzet Blitz, when you're playing against a control deck, you have 2 choices. You can just try to be as fast as possible and combo off before they can remove your creature. Maybe you use 1 protection spell to get there. Or you can sideboard in Stormbound Geist. You can sideboard in Dispel, Counterspell, all that nonsense, and attempt to outvalue your opponent and stay in semi-control of the game long enough to attack and win. I didn't actually see any blue cards from our opponent yet, so I'm not going to bring in the Pyroblasts. I only saw the blue activated ability. I am going to bring in the Hydroblasts against the Terminates and the Firebolts. I suppose I could bring in the Stormbound Geist, although I don't particularly want to. Against all the discard and the Chittering Rats, I want to be able to empty my hand as quickly as possible. So I might just want to go faster. Gutshot can take out his Child of Night and his Guildmage, so I think I'll leave it in. Mutagenic Growth protects from Firebolt. I guess I can take out Impulse. I'm not really sure what else I want to remove from my deck, though. So I think what I'm going to do is take out a Shadow Rift and one of these Hydroblasts. I'm not actually sure this will even be that good against him, since if I want to counter a burn spell, I can just use an Apostle's Blessing or a Dispel. And I believe I'll submit this. Okay, we have 3 creatures and 1 protection spell. Hopefully we draw some cantrips, but we have both of our colors of mana and we have creatures, so I can't say no to this. Alright, we drew a Stormbound Geist, which is not entirely unwelcome. We'll start off with Delver's Secrets, and they'll probably end up removing it. We'll see how they do that. Our opponent cycles away a Baron Moor and plays a Guildmage. Alright, I need to flip this Delver before our opponent finds red mana to ping our Guildmage, or to ping our Delver with their Guildmage. Gitaxian Probe. Yes, please. So do I want to save the probe for the Fiend next turn? That is the question, or do I want to do it now? I think I'm going to save it a turn. For now, I'll just attack for 3, hold open Apostle's Blessing, and plan on cracking this Evolving Wilds for a red. Our opponent is playing a lot of basic swamps and even a Baron Moor, which is pretty surprising in a 3-color deck. Given that the only true non-black cards we saw were Terminate and Firebolts, it could be that it's more of a splash than anything. And I guess this Shadow Guildmage doesn't actually require you to play blue mana, so they might just be playing black and red. Alright, Chittering Rats. So with Chittering Rats and Evolving Wilds, we have a trick we can do, where any of these cards that we don't want, we can get rid of. So do we want to put a card on top and then crack the Evolving Wilds to get rid of it? Or do we want to have all the cards in our hand be exactly what they are? I kind of like all the cards in these hand. I like having creatures for days. I like having the 1 Gitaxian Probe and the 1 Apostle's Blessing. I could potentially shuffle away the island, but if I just don't draw another land for a couple turns, that would be too greedy. So I'm going to crack Wilds now, so that I will redraw whatever I put back. Gonna get hit by one. Gonna get hit for one from this Guild Mage. There's our Kiln Fiend. Keep on attacking. Play Kiln Fiend, leave open Apostle's Blessing. The only thing that this is really bad against is a Chainer's Edict, and our opponent didn't play one on their second turn, so they would have had to draw one recently. Alright, another Chittering Rats. I'm okay with that. Alright, so do I want to use an Apostle's Blessing on defense here? Just to get rid of a Chittering Rats? I don't believe that I do. So I'll take 2. So if I Gitaxian Probe and I hit a spell, then I can go Gitaxian Probe, Apostle's Blessing, another spell, and crank this Kiln Fiend up to 10 power, and still only hit them for 13. If they were at 13, I probably would go ahead with that play. No, I guess there's no real harm. Yeah, I'll do it now. This also lets me know their hand. I'll go ahead and Gitaxian Probe. I was going to say I was going to save it till this Nivix Cyclops is down, but the upside is so high here. Firebolt, Pyroblast, Pyroblast, Ravenous Rats. But our opponent is stuck on mana, so if they don't draw red mana, they're going to be casting Ravenous Rats next turn. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to Apostle's Blessing, my Kiln Fiend, name black, hit him for 10, and then play Stormbound Geist. And then even if our opponent does draw red, and they get to play a Ravenous Rats and a Pyroblast, or a Ravenous Rats and a Firebolt, then I'm actually still doing pretty good. Alright, here's your Stormbound Geist, and let's see what they can do. Alright, our opponent conceded. They could not find the red mana they needed. It's a little bit of a sad way to end off the league with our opponent having mana problems both games, especially since their deck was so cool. But I'm not going to say no to a 4-1 result. I believe this puts me at 28 wins and 7 losses over the course of the 7 leagues I've played so far. So there you saw Izzet Blitz do exactly what it's supposed to do. Play a creature, maybe 2, very occasionally 3, and then cast 3 or 4 instants and sorceries in a row and just attack for lethal. We even got to show off one of the turn 3 wins, which is pretty cool. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, because I really enjoyed playing. If you want to know more about the deck, there's an article about it at mtggoldfish.com. And if you want to see more sweet videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to reach out to me, leave a comment below, or find me on Twitter at JakeStylesMTG. That's STILES for Styles. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.